Okay, well, thank you so much, my dear brother, Doug. You know, it's, wow, we're a long way from, was that 1988?
Yeah, Coconut Grove.
The Coconut Grove Farmers Market, where I featured Paradise Pies. You know, we went through a good 25 pies each Saturday back in the days. And thanks to our good brother, Stan Glazer, that market is still in effect. And Paradise Pies are also on the table. That Stan Glazer Farms, they've been keeping it burning, not just there, but all over the world. It's been coming. So, you know, I have students, you know, thousands that I've, you know, shared with along the way. And so just look out, probably somewhere near you, there's one of my students, you know, in full swing. So it's been, you know, 44 years now, strictly on the liberty, as we would say in Jamaica. And what we bring into you today, the liberty we bring into you today is very special. The Plantain Ceviche, or in some places it's known, you know, as curry plantain, with the way I've been marketing it. But this is a dish that I've been doing, you know, using raw plantain. And, you know, excuse me, but the word raw, sometimes I bite my tongue when I say it. So I say ra, which is sun, you know, sun, ra, R-A, you know, and it goes back to ancient time, because realistically, there's nothing raw about any food that you see right here on my table. This food is cooked by the sun. Hence, that is why in 1979, I coined the word sun-fired to connote that the sun is the chef. The sun is actually the only chef on the planet. I feel too embarrassed when people call me a chef. I'm not a chef. I cannot compete with the sun. This has been meticulously cooked, very exacting for millennials, okay? The sun cooks for us all, everyone on the planet. It is not selective. So fresh plant food, this is our legacy. I'm just a small little artist here on the block, bringing it into modern context, cuisine, for you can be able to associate it and relate it to what modernity calls, you know, culinary arts. So thanks for staying in this corner with my vibration. I give thanks to the Oxford Encyclopedia of Food and Drink to acclaim me as the father of ethical gourmet raw food cuisine, right along with Dr. Ann Wigmore as the originator of the sprout culture that has affected everyone on the planet today. So anyway, let's move forward with our recipe. You have your ingredients ready. I'm not going to go over them with you, but the first thing I want to work with is seaweed. Seaweed is very, very crucial, very important. And you know, the word ceviche, you know, it goes back, you know, to the Latin culture, you know, which is like, well, in French it's escoviche, you know, escoviche, which means, you know, basically it's attached to seafood, you know, where you marinate and actually cook seafood with acid, you know. I mean, I'm talking acid tasting foods, you know, lemon, you know, it is just like soaked in lemon, you know, and that's where the tradition comes from. So I just use the name, you know, so you can get an association, but this in reality, this is a complete, unique, eclectic dish, which is most of Sun-Fired creations. We don't imitate, we don't mock or anything like that, because we're dealing with the original foods. Those are the, you know, angles that have been trying to imitate and mock us. So we're reclaiming our legacy and our force in the world. So we have the nori seaweed, and I make sure when I find my package, it says premium quality, untoasted, dry seaweed. Okay, so, you know, I mean, even if you get the toasted one, don't feel no way, because when they toast nori, it's just moving it over an open flame, and it turns from purple, which is the color you see here, and then I have another package by another company here that is toasted, and you see it turns from purple to green when it's toasted. and that act is just passing it over an open flame. It is some form of dehydration, but anyway, we don't have to get technical and anal. I'm going to take my nori seaweed because I find that especially when you're consuming the living nori seaweed or the raw nori seaweed, then it doesn't really break down that well. It doesn't digest. It tends to ball up and get rolled up on your palate. So I usually tend to just flake it up, shred it up, make it fine. So I just tear it up into small pieces, and I could put it in this little chopper right here. This is a small little chopper designed for herbs and spices. Put it in here, make sure that the machine is dry, no moisture in it whatsoever. Because once it gets wet, you lose it, okay? Or you could use a blender, put it right into a dry blender, and you could do the same thing. So for this purpose, I'm gonna go with our blender. So I usually do this first so I don't, wet my vessel with the tomatoes and the other things. So let's go ahead and flake our nori. Or you can buy them already flaked, but those are toasted anyway, so be careful. Okay. I know that those of you, some of this may be a little bit, stay with me, but try your best. You may not have a blender ready, so you can use a scissor and just chop it into strips and get it into as fine a strips as you possibly can. So here, our flaked nori seaweed. I'm going to put it right in my bowl here so you can see it. Okay, so this is what you're trying to achieve. Just break it down into, doesn't have to be too fine, but a small texture so it's easier for your body to really process effectively and get the value out of it. We want that iodine in there. And, besides, see, one of the things, I'm very well known, as it is a claim here, as a chef. But again, I'm a food scientist. And, chefing is my art, So I'm really more of a food scientist. So what you get when I share with you, you're getting the art and science of living foods in one bite. So it's very interesting that, you may have great, excellent, raw food chefs, artists. They would make for you the greatest, cacao macadamia heavenly cheesecake. But who knows what's going to happen when you leave the door, or even before you leave the restaurant. You might be a gas tank ready to explode. But when you consider the science in developing your recipes, now here comes food combining, enzyme nutrition, and all of these factors that are placed in here. So as you can see, what we have here, the ingredients that we have brought up that you're really dealing with, in essence, this is a fruit salad, okay? Because we're dealing with fruits, okay? Avocado is a fruit, olives are fruit, lemons, tomatoes, even the plantain is a fruit. And we're putting some green leaves with it that makes it compatible for you to be able to process, to digest effectively. So within my recipes, usually I would use something from the onion family. And this is a light dish because I want that mustard oil in there. That is a very healing mustard oil, and you find it in this food, this group: onions, garlic, chives, scallions, leeks. So we're using the scallions here, are two sprigs of scallions. Now I'm gonna just slice these very, very thin. I'm just doing them this way because I want to retain, the roundness in them. So I'm not going to chop them, rough cut or anything like that, or put them in a food processor. So here we go. Go ahead and work with your scallions. Slice them as thin as you can. But for those of you who really want to go easy and quick, a lot of what we're doing here, you don't have to do all the knifing, the heavy chefing and things like that. Realistically, you can take all of these ingredients other than the plantain and put them in your food processor with an S blade and just, pulse, just chop, chop, chop. And there you go. You have your curry sauce, But we're going through this exercise with you so that you can be able to really start, or if you already there, get some of the basic, techniques and things that you may need to apply with other recipes. So what I do, I'm sharing with you recipes as foundation stimulators so that you can use my recipes to create. And, interestingly enough, we got some inquiries from some of you about, what if you can't find, ripe plantain in Alaska or wherever you are away from, the tropics, and look, use what you have. You could have actually really just substitute every single ingredient in this recipe because it's a foundation recipe. It's really giving you the principles, the techniques, so that you can be able to just open up your heart, open up your soul, go into your, sleeping energy and unwaken, the giant within, the creative culinary giant within. So, hey, even me, within this recipe today, I made some substitutions based on what's real and here in my environment, and also some of the things that I would like to share with you that, you may not get, through other channels. So we have our scallions ready. I'm going to go ahead and juice my lemon. We're using a little reamer. Since we're only using one lemon, I'm not going to pull out my electric citrus juicer, but this is a key piece of equipment to have in your kitchen is your, what we call a citrus reamer. Now I'm taking the seeds out, okay? I'm just taking the seeds out, removing them from the straining basket because I'm not gonna throw the pulp out with the seed. Many of us do this. We come from such a wasteful culture that, based on convenience or whatever, absence of being in the present, we just like really discard too much value, So I'm just, meditating right here, getting to my seeds, get them out. And what I have here is my lemon juice and the pulp going right in to my little chopper here. This is where we're going to create our curry sauce. The juice of one lemon right into the chopper. And talking about curry, this is a big surprise I want to share with you. Look, fresh curry leaves. Many of us, we hear curry, 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 and we think this little hurry yellow powder here, which is mostly turmeric, but this is the curry. This is the real deal. So we have it here in the tropics. So this is one of the plus, of living, in harmony with nature, not being on a collision course with life, living in places, where the sun don't really come in, in deep intensity year round and keep the pot rolling. This has been cooked by the sun, but the sun can't cook this up in Alaska, these other places. But anyway, fresh curry leaves. So instead of using the cilantro, I'm using 1 tablespoon of fresh curry leaves right into my food processor here. The tomatoes, I got 2 different tomatoes. So the Roma tomatoes, those plum tomatoes. So I've got, an organic tomato here because I couldn't find Roma organic at this time of the year. And I am definitely, an organic kid, so I go for organic first over anything else. So I'm cutting the heart out of the tomato, basically this here, okay? The center, the pulp, okay? And this here is the part that has a lot of moisture. So I'm putting tomato water in my blender, in my food processor, in my dressing. So I don't discard this. I use everything as much as possible. Even that little part here where the stem was attached. Why do we discard it? We take this out. Okay, fine, aesthetics. I can go with that. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong with that. That's where the stem was attached. That's where the umbilical cord of the fruit grows out of. And anyway, that's probably one of the safest part on the whole tomato. So let's be careful about this wasteful culture. If it's for aesthetics, fine, no problem, you know, but in terms of health, you know, it's safe, okay? So I've done that. I've put the pulp of the tomato in my food processor, and now the tomato shells, I'm just slicing them, you know, julienne style, they call this in professional chefing kitchens here, just like that. And then the other half, same way. And, you know, for texture variability, I leave it just like this, you know, because it really gives the dish an exciting look, you know, an exciting vibration, having this type of texture mingle with other things. And I have my olives, okay, those Kalamata olives, and I make sure when I buy my olives, I'm extremely careful with olives, okay? Very careful, because, you know, all olives are treated with salt initially. Please, there's no such thing as salt-free olives. So bear that in mind. So be very, very careful. Olives are the most bitter food on the planet, you know, or at least one of the things that we call food. So we cannot eat it, consume it in its original state. We need to cure it. So the curing is usually burying it in salt, whether you just put it in the sea. You know, certain places in Italy, they got that real refined culture over there. When they call, I mean, those are like serious food, you know, engineers over there. You know, Italy, Germany, you know, and even some places here in the tropics, in the Caribbean. You go to certain places in Jamaica, and it's like, you know, the way they harvest the natural sea moss from the sea and things like that. Wow, it is fantastic. So this is what Sunfired has been doing over the years, is fusing cuisines, cultural, you know, idiosyncrasies from all over the world. My travels have taken me to, you know, I've lived in over 30 countries, you know. As a trained linguist, I traveled the world studying language, and while I was doing that, I was studying what was on my plate as well. So anyway, the Kalamata olives, of course, organic, okay? And these are already pre-sliced, so they come in quarters. And, you know, Kalamata is a town in Greece. Other great, you know, food engineers coming out of that part of the world. And I always get to my ingredients, organic Kalamata olives. It has water, organic distilled vinegar, sea salt, organic red wine vinegar, and organic olive oil. So you notice, not even citric acid. A lot of us, oh, citric acid, cool. Oh no, wait a minute, that is not cool. That is not what we're talking about when we're talking about citrus and the acid tasting lemon. That's a whole different monster right there. So look it up, ask the AI dummies, and they'll be able to point you home. So anyway, my 12 olives, quartered, and I have my curry powder already here, you know, the traditional curry powder, but this is the Indian style, the Madras curry. And yes, the main ingredient is turmeric. Turmeric is great, you know. I mean, it's definitely, it's about digestion, you know, so especially when you're doing things like these, combining so many stuff, yeah, a little turmeric in there. But, you know, there's certain cultures, because they so hooked on the tradition of cooking, they say, oh, burn your curry first. Because if you don't burn your curry, it's going to give you the running belly. Ah, there we go. You know, there we go. I feel that the originators of a lot of our recipes, say for example in Jamaica, you know, the famous curry goat, you know, I think those Maroons in Jamaica, when they originated that curry goat dish, it wasn't no accident of putting the curry in there, you know, because the curry, if you don't burn it, it's going to help run your belly. It's going to help run the goat out of your system. Okay, it keeps it moving. So, you know, be careful about the medicine in some of these foods, and be careful about fire. Fire kills. Yes, you know, so the herb, the spice, you know, the turmeric, the curry, yes, it's for the healing of the nation, but fire kills the nation. So let's back up our arguments that we're dealing with a lot of what's going on today about whether, you know, raw food is cool for you and all of this. Can everybody on the planet eat raw food? What the heck did everybody on the planet eat before the advent of fire? And you go ask the AI guys, when did human beings started using fire? And then go back to another fact check and find out when was the earliest appearance, of human beings on this planet, and see the gap between the advent of fire and how long we've been on the planet, and it's going to register. We did not eat cooked food prior to the advent. So squash the argument, whether we are raw food eaters by nature or not. Squash it, okay? Since the advent of fire, you have been corrupted, and you've corrupted and brutalized so many, talking about you have dominion over all the creatures of the world, because you can grab a chicken, a goat, a cow, and barbecue them, jerk them, and all. That does not make them food, okay? So let's come on back home. Anyway, curry, all right. So we're gonna put our curry in there, right in the mix. Easy does it. So it looks like we pretty much got, okay, and greens. The greens we're dealing with is tatsoi. Here in the Grand Cayman, there's a large Filipino community. So we get a lot of Filipino, veggies. So rather than just using the romaine as we have, I want to go with what's kicking in my neighborhood. I want to go with what's fresh, what's best, direct as possible from farm to mouth, okay? And that's why we do minimal processing. Of course, the avocado, I'm using the one that you're used to. You saw how I did that? Don't blink when I'm on now. Okay, I tapped it, twist it, and then tap it right out, and there it goes. Don't be trying to finger the thing and, doing all this stuff. So I'm using that other than, instead of like our native. Here, look at this native avo right here. I didn't want to blow you away and put it in my dish, because look at that. Look at that beauty, okay? This is it. Look, there are thousands of varieties of avocados, thousands of varieties of apples, and so many fruits, thousands of varieties of potatoes and corns and tomatoes. But, hey, somebody, somebody probably from Wall Street, who knows where they originated, but they got a hold of our food basket and they hijacked it. And today, and especially since we've been curled off into most of these urban areas, we're at the mercy of what's in our supermarket. So 90% of probably all of fresh foods in your supermarket today, they are hybrid. So be careful. Not that, we got to be like super, anal about the hybridity of food and whether they're hybrid or heirloom or not. So, check all of these types of things. But anyway, I said that to say that I came up with some heirloom tomatoes. So instead of using, just the, that organic, normal slicing tomato, I'm putting as well as, I have about, 15 of these heirloom tomatoes, cherry style, and you could see the difference between this kind of stuff. So look for heirloom. It's also another big, on the top of my list option. So I have pear shaped, I have, teardrop shaped right here. I have cherry shaped. I have plum shape, so this is good. So when you see these kinds of things, that, it's some real originality going here. Everything don't look the same. It's not like perfectly graded, looks perfect. So I'm slicing them to complement the olives, because, in quarters, the same way. So here we go. And we're not gonna process these down. We already have, the pulp from that slicing tomato in our food processor. And then we have the julienne one. So this is one of the things about dealing with art and science of food, especially the art. You're in a lab, you're really, you're in a studio. This is my studio here. It's not a kitchen, it's a healing lab. It's an artist studio. So I want to art. I want to art. I want to just create, just move and move. So those things are going to come close. And then with my greens, look, please, with greens, the finer, the better. And the coarser the green, the finer you want to chop it. as well. You know, we're not cows, we're not goats, we're not horses. Actually, we're not herbivores by nature, okay? But, you know, we've strayed so far from our original, you know, our food kingdom, which is basically, you know, hey, one law of food. I don't know if you missed it, but let me just make sure I bring it to your consciousness right now. And, you know, I mean, look, there's a lot of books that I haven't read, but this one, out of a book that I have not read, I make sure, you know, I share it, you know, and bring people into updates. You know, if there was ever a law of food, it goes something like this. Behold, for I've given unto you the seed yielding trees, and unto you they shall be your meat. Meat. The original meaning of the word meat is food. So this is olive meat here. This is meat. We do eat meat, you know, nut meat and so forth and so on. And along with that, I want to share with you a quote by my mentor, Dick Gregory. Rest in power, my elder, you know, my ancestor, for bringing me, one of the only few people besides Ann Wigmore and Victoras Kovinskas, you know, my wonderful brother, love you, Victoras. Let's give Victoras a big shout out. You know, I mean, if I'm the godfather of gourmet, culinary, ethical, raw food cuisine, Victoras,
Yes.
great grandfather. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Health educator from Hippocrates. I know all the people you're counting, and I love to see you. I'm in Mexico now, not in Sweden. I'm so thrilled to see some real food.
Yes, bless up, bless up. So Victorious is the grandfather, great grandfather, you know, along with Dr. Ann Wigmore, you know, my brother, you know, that mad food scientist, you know, the physicist developed the sprouting culture. So I give big praise. But Dick Gregory, my man, he said, hey, if God was to come back to this planet, I would look for sun-fired foods, because this food is exactly what godliness is about, okay? So take it from him. And alongside that, there's another quote I need to share with you. And this quote is from who I know today. I don't know if anyone else, but who I know today, for surety, someone that's probably the oldest living vegetarian on the planet, or at least in our circle that we know, we can identify her and there's no issue. You know, my beloved, please, you know, my beloved Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson in her 90s. We're talking someone who is a good over 70 years of eating only plant food. And look at her, look at how she's shining, she's beaming, she's still on stage doing her thing. So she had me backstage once, because, you know, Cicely Tyson studied with me. She got certified. She is Sun-Fired certified. She took my certification course. And she said, she introduced me to her audience backstage and said, I want you to meet the God of food. I'm like, oh God, did you go there? Did you do that? Yeah, but anyway, no, the sun really is the God of food. But thank you, Cicely, for putting me, you know, so close to heaven. You know, thank you for all that you've been doing. But anyway, back to where we are right here. Now, the avocado, I'm going to go ahead, since this is easy to deal with. You can peel it, or you could just take a soft rubber spoon and just scoop it out. I'm going to put it right into my food processor, because, you know, we're not using olive oil, you know, and thanks to my brother, you know, Dr. Doug Graham, he like, yo, man, no olive oil. I say, hey, brother, you know, we come from the same hood, no olive oil. You know, I was about to use it because, you know, I'm a person that builds bridges, you know, and as an educator, I am not the type of educator that would only teach you what I eat. Because if it was about teaching you what I eat, this is me for this week right here. You know, this is me. 50 coconuts, I'm drinking coconut water, eating coconut jelly. That's my protein. That's soft, pre-digested coconut jelly. I'm eating mangoes. So it's about fruits. I got my mature coconut. And look, you know what I normally do, but I'm doing the avocado because I know that's easy for you. But normally I make fresh coconut cream. So normally this is what I would put in this, but I didn't want to put you on the spot and get you to try to, because when you're dealing with something like this, you got to be ready to throw down. So, I got my nutcracker. Okay, this is the kind of stuff you got to do. We got to defend ourselves. And this is not a weapon. This is a self-defense instrument to crack my coconut open because it's a hard nut to crack. Now, once I do that, I got my coconut water. This stuff is full of electrolytes. I can use this. And by the way, coconut water is all the water I drink, and watermelon, and all the fruit juice and vegetable juices. I don't take tap water. I don't take bottled water, spring water, alkalized water. None of my water is filtered through the tree. The coconut tree is a spring. That watermelon vine you see running in your backyard, that's a spring. That's the hose coming directly out of the spring from the earth and packaging it in those big, 50-pound watermelons. So these are the breasts of the earth. So anyway, crack that up, break it up into small pieces. You get that meat out, and I run it through my juice extractor. Freshly extracted coconut cream. Take that bottle of coconut oil and throw it away. As we say in Jamaica, dash it away. Dash it away. The thing is probably rancid by now. Cold virgin, extra virgin, cold pressed, raw, organic, olive oil, marketing. They got you, and you jump for it, okay? Please, there's a lot of flaws just in that statement right there, but wake up, okay? Come on home. It's a real world out here. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm going to go ahead and flash this. This is a chopper. It's not a processor that you just let it go on continuous. So it's a pulsing thing. One button is grind, the other one is chop. So I'm chopping. Okay, so here it goes. So that's chopped down. So I got my spices in there. I got my fat in here. Got my
Dr. LaTham, could you please repeat what was in your chopper?
Okay, I have the one avocado. I have the tablespoon of curry leaves, the pulp from the tomato, and my curry powder, lemon juice, nothing else. That's what's in the chopper. Okay, so as we move on, we harmonize here. Now, let's get to our plantain. Okay, so plantain is a fruit. It's a fruit in the banana family. So we take the plantain, before you get to the plantain, always make sure your plantain is ripe and ready, okay? Perfectly cooked. So don't get a green plantain like they do in Latin America and a lot of other places in the tropics. They take a green plantain, and because they got the power of fire, they got dominion over this and that, they're gonna take it and try to force ripe it by boiling it, by cooking it. They even do it to green bananas. Poor thing, they kill the little things, And in Panama, where I was born, gee, what a place, beautiful food jungle, but the cuisine there, it's fry, everything. So anyway, they take the green plants and boil it, then have it sliced and pressed out, and then they fry it. They call it patacon, so it's like a super thick, what do you call that? Fried potato, whatever, But anyway, ripe and ready, cut the ends off, okay? And stripe it one place. So you open the skin, and we just peel the skin back, just like this. Here we go. So we can do this in various ways. You can just put it on a mandolin and just slice it very thin. We're just gonna go in cubes, because that's really like the traditional ceviche type of texture. And we're gonna slice this down, 4 or 5, 6 pieces, each one. Nothing exacting or anything like that. The thing about this particular type of dish, especially using plantains are a sponge. So they absorb tremendously you know, they would absorb the lemon juice and all these other things. I mean, if you really want to take it to a higher ceviche level, you could actually put another lemon in there. You know, you can put another lemon, or you could puree some tomatoes. Anyway, I'm going crossways and just chopping this a little finer. So I hope you're keeping up with me, you know, but take your time, take it slow, you know, and I think these are recorded anyway, so you can do a playback, you know, but for now today, I really appreciate you coming in, you know, adventuring with me, because this is what it's all about. This is adventure. This is culinary adventure, you know, first class, you know, and, you know, thanks again for joining, for sharing the adventure. And for those of you who are looking for more, you know, you can go to my website, sunfired.com, SUNFIRED, and you're going to see what we have lined up for you right there. We just unleashed our new website. You know, for years I've been writing, you know, riding the web on a scooter, but now, you know, I got a jetmobile, you know, whatever that is. Anyway, we're ready to rock here. We're ready to get. Okay, let me just rinse this off. I got my coconut pieces of shell in there. So we got it all rinsed off here. Now I'm going to go ahead and transfer all these. I mean, you could set it up in all kinds of different ways. You could present it however you like. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put my greens as a bed. Yeah, I got my presentation platter here. Can you see that? Yeah, it looks like you can see it. So I'm putting my greens as a bed, okay, right here. And the rest of the stuff, I'm going to toss, okay, right into my mixing bowl. Toss that up. Here we go. Get my mixing spoon and rock it here. Here we are. And I'm going to go and get my curry ceviche, you know, sauce. Put that in here and scrape that right out. Get everything. You got that avocado, that lubrication. So usually, you know, the anatomy of my dishes, especially something like a salad, like what we're doing here, you know, something green, leafy, you know, something substantial like the plantain, and there's oil, there's fat in there. So you got your avocados and your olives rocking in there. Something from the onion family, something to give it a highlight, a real bang. That's our seaweed. So we're going to put that flake nori in right now at this time. So you see, simple recipe, very few ingredients, you know, and not a whole lot of processing. Not a whole lot of processing. So here we go. This is it. This is how we rock it. And I have another special herb I want to put in. Now, I got some basil. I got some Thai basil here. You know, again, you know, I'm in Thai country here in the Grand Cayman. You know, a lot of Thai farmers are making things happen here. So this Thai basil is just exquisite. So I just got 1 tablespoon of Thai basil. And, you know, this is what you do. When you got too much basil, too much cilantro, too much parsley, a lot of these herbs that you know you're not going to use right away, and instead of putting them in your dehydrator before they spoil, just turn them upside down, hang them somewhere, and just let them dry naturally. So here we go. That 1 tablespoon of chopped semi-dry basil. Give it another twist, another kick. And then we're going to go ahead and take this creation here and just drop it right on top of our bed of greens. You know, our tatsoi, you know, that great Japanese. I think that's where it originated. That's the name, tatsoi. You know where that comes from. You know, so anyway, we have our plantain ceviche, you know, curry style. So you see what we have done. You see Japan in here. You see Italy in here. You see Jamaica in here. You see India in here. You know, I mean, we bring it all full circle. The Philippines, you know, you name it. You know, we bring it full circle. Sunfired is an eclectic fusion of world cuisines, not just the macro cuisine, but even the micro cuisines that come from small little places that some of you may not have even heard of before. So here we are, our sun-fired, hey, fresh, instant food. We're not going to call it fast or slow. It is just food because it's already been done by the sun. Once it's done by the sun, it's really instant food. It's ready to eat. You know, when the foods are right, when they're ready to harvest, they're fit to eat. You know, we're talking a process that probably took a whole year to get this plantain to us, to get this avocado to us, to get these mangoes to us, very meticulously cooked in an extremely, you know, tactical way where the sun comes by, you know, spend a good, you know, 8 to 12 hours every day in my neighborhood, in my village, in my ghetto, in my suburb, in my hamlet, wherever I am, and make sure my pot is cooked. If that's not a God force, I don't know what else is in terms of tangibility, you know, but the real God force is all around us. It's nature. It's nature, it's nature. It's the spirituality of our connection with the rest of the universe. We are heavenly bodies out here in space, okay? And our direct link, our direct connection, okay? Once we've been severed from the umbilical connection from our parents, this is it. Oxygen, sun, condensed sun. This is a condensed sun. This is a condensed solar vibration right here. So this is how I eat my sun. So that's really our primary nutrient is the sun. Number two, oxygen. When we bite into this food, we want the oxygen to explode in our mouth, not, you know, oh, going up in aroma and oh, granny pot smell nice, you know, it's good. Oh, it smells so good. That's your nutrients going up in steam. So don't be so proud of that. I mean, you know we're coming out of a whole deep environment of hundreds of years, you know, of being put into this little pin box here. Hey, thanks for 2020. Let's exhale, okay? 2021, hey, we're heading. Finally, we made it out of the 20th century. 21st century is here, around the corner. So a lot of this old stuff, we got to dash it away. And what's new, what's real, what's on the table right now, it's where we started in the 60s, self-defense. I got into this for self-defense, to defend and protect my life. So at 73, not sick, 2020 vision, you name it, to the max, okay? And this is the legacy that we were born to live, to enjoy, to endure. There's no reason why you have to be sick. You know, there's a book by Ann Wigmore that talked about that either. You don't have to be sick, okay? Please, being sick is not a part of living. Let's get rid of that kind of mindset. Let's come on back home to self first. Retune your body, recalculate, recalibrate, empty the old stuff, the old, you know, the hard drive, the software, all the stuff that ain't working for you anymore. Empty that stuff. Let's reprogram. You know, blood wash, brain wash, whatever you got to do, just wash out, clean out, cleanse, detox, but don't retox. Okay, let's come on back home to self. You can build a brand new body. Take 7 years, just slow down. There's no quick fix. There's no quick new body on the block. You know, whatever they call the new diet fad on the block, please slow down, let that alone, okay? Let's get into balance, let's get into harmony, let's get into a rhythm. And exhale, and once you're exhaling right, the inhalation is going to be much easier, but let's empty the waste bin. Let's defecate. Let's sweat. Let's like just pour it out, drain out the waste, the toxemia, okay? And this is one of my foundation, you know, natural hygiene, teachings of natural hygiene, Dr. Herbert Shelton, you name it, Hilton Hotema, the real old school knowledge. Let's get up to date, go back to the old school, and let's get rid of the toxemia, but don't retox. It is so easy to be on this level, and it's easier to maintain this level if you keep it moving. I just came off of a 73-day juice feast. You may call it a fast, but I was on a feast. 1 gallon of juice every day for 73 days in celebration of my 73rd birthday this year. So I do that every year. So let's really take ownership. You know, let's defend and protect our life. Fast, besides fasting every night for 8 hours, fast once a week, 36 hours. Fast twice a month, the new moon and the full moon. Fast 4 times for the year, the equinox and the solstice, you know, and fast yearly for the number of years that you have been rotating around the sun. And you're going to be like 140, 150, you know, 180 days of the year that you are just fasting. Stop this stuff, loading the system up with so much food. We cannot process the loads that we're putting in. And we're eating too dense. Let's lighten up. Liquids, liquids, liquids. So, hey family, welcome home. Welcome home to self. You know, here at the Sunfired Institute, you know, we are here for you. You know, we're here for you, and sunfired.com is your channel. We have a TV channel on our website. So you can go to some, we just opened it up yesterday. So there's a lot of more stuff being loaded up. So it's still a work in progress. But right now you can go to Sunfired TV on sunfired.com, and you're going to start seeing what's to come. We're putting up footage of years, 50 years of me being involved in what I'm doing, 50 years of not consuming animals whatsoever. Forget, you know, even the word vegan, I'm like kind of, you know, wait a minute. Okay, fine. Animal rights, love you, respect you, and all of that. What about human rights? What are my rights? Am I included as a vegan in the terminology veganism? Okay. So when we got into this in the 60s, it wasn't about protecting and defending the animals and their rights. It wasn't about spirituality or anything like that. It wasn't about trying to meditate, trying to relax, trying to protect the environment. It was about trying to defend my bald head, okay, my afro, my dreadlocks, okay, defend my life. Because we were revolutionaries back then. I got into this as a revolutionary, not as someone who was sick, ill, broken down, and I had to eat what was called back then rabbit food or raw food, because I was too sick to really enjoy real food. And this is real food. I can enjoy eating 6 of these mangoes in one day, and I got no issue with sugar. Why? I don't consume complex carbohydrates, starches, grains, deep roots, and beans. So a lot of these things you need to check. So come home to Sunfired, you're gonna get the science, what we call the electromagnetic energies of living foods, of plant foods. So we're gonna set a lot of things to you. So a lot of where you've been, what you have heard, what you have read, is gonna start making more sense now. We're gonna give you the structure behind the meat, behind the, you know, the sound bites and a whole bunch of other stuff you've been hearing, all the noise and all of that. We're going to give you the structure. We're going to give you the foundation. We're going to take you to the roots of where we come from and where we are and why we should be respecting our relationship with the plants, with nature, and animals don't have to worry about us. Right where I am in the Grand Cayman, we got chickens walking around the street. They know I'm not going to eat them, okay? And of course, they know that the chicken eaters are not going to eat a wild fowl because they hooked on the freak birds, you know, the ones that have been full of hormones and all of that kind of stuff. So they don't have the time to go grab a wild fowl off the street and, you know, wring the neck, break it off, pull out the feathers and clean it out and all of that kind of stuff. What kind of beasts are these humans think they really are? Because they're not participating in the slaughtering and the killing, they think they're absolved. Karma is real. So the sickness, the disease, the sufferation, payback is a B, okay? Payback, here comes payback. And fortunately, your death is not as swift as the death of that chicken that you caused to be slaughtered. Yours is slow, it's painful, it's very hurting, and it's very expensive. It is not cheap to be sick. So let's live in a great body. Let's not shortchange ourselves. Let's not go for the distraction and go try to buy the big heavy bucket of processed food. And you know, most of the processed foods are grains, roots, and beans, okay? That's where the bank is, okay? So this stuff here, this is big money. But hey, who doesn't want to live in an expensive body? You don't have a choice. You got to live in an expensive body if you're going to make it through. So whether you pay up front or you pay later, see the doctor, see the pharmacist, you know, see the different cartels that are along the line to really, you know, sell you a false promise. But anyway, I'm still a revolutionary to the heart. So, you know, I can't avoid it. You know, I can't bite my tongue. You know, I can't hold back certain reality. And we see it. We see it today. Anyway, here we are.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart, Aris LaTham.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Aris.